Hello and welcome to our WBS item on Earthwork. We're Team 3 COHO. I'm Santiago Ruival, and alongside me are Evan Bloom, Vanessa Bloomquist, Christian Spencer Smith, and Keanu Wallace. Um, to introduce this work item real quick, Earthwork involves mobilizing dump trucks and excavators to job site. Um, Basically, the excavation will start off with the east side before the road closure begins. Once the road is closed, we have to remove the existing road, dig out the culvert. It kind of pauses for the culvert to go in, and then it comes back for the backfill. And this involves also importing materials, getting rid of materials and storing materials that we'll later use for the backfill. So some of the top safety risks that we can see from our excavation and earthwork include the steep excavation slopes, especially working with heavy machinery. As the contract says, our slopes need to be 1.5 to 1. And this can cause, machinery to, accidentally go in, workers to slip and maybe fall and get hurt. So that's definitely something we want to avoid, making sure that we close off and are very aware of the slopes we're working on. Additionally, the operation of heavy machinery, as we said, we'll have 2 to 3 excavators on site. Just being very cautious around them, always waving to the excavator operator, making sure you're seen, making sure you're, very aware of your surroundings whenever working with heavy machinery. Another problem, safety risks that we might encounter is rain. As it relates to earthwork, and rain can produce mud. Mud is slippery, mud slides. This kind of ties into our steep excavation slopes. Um, so that is something to watch out for and be aware of. And lastly, equipment fluid slips, spills. Working with hydraulic equipment, we want to be, again, aware that no oil or engine fluid is escaping the machines and hurting the environment or our workers.
Moving on to quality risks, in order to make sure that we are hitting not only the small timeline that we're given, but to make sure we're not going over budget on this project, the quality risks need to be evaluated. So, starting with poor grading, if once you excavate, if you aren't hitting your specific grades, then you're gonna really mess up some things. Under compaction and backfill, if this isn't done right the first time, it could cause problems down the road, which are not often seen immediately, but cause it's often the cost, a dollar associated with it. Over excavation, if we're over excavating, that same amount of material has to go back, so it's causing more delays, more cost. And then also that we make sure we're separating the correct material that we're taking out, but then also putting the right structural material like behind the culvert when we backfill it. So just making sure that all those are hit. In terms of the total scope for excavation, we have 2 excavators on site with a small excavator, 6 dump trucks, 1 concrete saw, and 2 medium loaders. These have their equipment, their respective equipment operators, truck drivers, and laborers. A little bit on work baseline structure. The first activity to begin is a stream excavation on the east. Then we move into removing the roadway. And then concurrently, we have the culvert excavation that they're moving the material, storing it at the laydown areas. The stream excavation east at the same time. And then to kind of wrap up the project, we're backfilling. And then closeout is after the critical path is disposing of the excess material. The first activity to break ground is the stream excavation on the east side of the roadway. And this is excavating the stream bed until what the specs say of elevation grade. Um, it What we're doing is we put 1 excavator in the stream that's actually excavating. It's spinning around, bringing material up to the second excavator, who's actually loading trucks on top of the roadway. This task does start before the critical path, so before the roadway is closed, and it can be finished as the last activity, really, as you kind of work your way backwards. So it's really not in the critical path. In terms of what we're using, 2 excavators. Those large excavators, we have 3 dump trucks, and then their respective laborers. Each excavator gets a laborer to run grade, check elevation with laser, and then we have our dump truck drivers, equipment operators. A little bit on work description. First, you have to have a little bit of clearing and grubbing to happen. You have to actually have the equipment on site. So that has to be mobilized. This is going to overlap with Culvert excavation because you have to maintain a level working surface. You have to make sure it's easy for your machines to pass through both of them. So even though you're starting one before the other, I mean they're going to go concurrently. In terms of inspections and testing, we have elevation grade checks constantly. Machines are going to be set up with lasers. Laborers are going to have grade rods, lasers. So we're constantly in communication, making sure that it's done right the first time. No extra work has to be redone. And then another one to note is to separate the first 6.5 feet of soil for the stream bed material later on. Make sure we're separating it in the dump truck and then also at the laydown site when we store it. And then also know that while the roadway is live, we need to stay back from that a good 3 or 4 feet and then run your grade off, your 2-to-1 grade off of that 3 to 4 feet distance. Couple limitations. Unlike the culvert excavation, which is a 1.5 to 1 slope, this is a 2-to-1 slope. I did state here, excavation can be kind of rough. We do really want a final grade. So even though it says 1 inch, you really want it on the money. So make sure we're following those plans exactly. It'll save you time and money in the end. And then make sure, because this part, the stream excavation in the east is going to be exposed for some of the project. Make sure the slopes are smooth, make sure they're covered in gravel if they become slippery. And then because we're going to be working our way backwards and coming back from the west side or the east side here, that we have those excavator ramps, 1.5 to 1 slope, termed our egress. And then we'll back our way out of the project and finish up.
Activity 2, remove existing road. The road shall be marked and cut with a concrete saw, and excavators will hoe around the asphalt, breaking it up, and then use buckets to load into dump trucks. There are 3 crews on this job. You need the excavators, you need dump trucks, and you need the saw crew. That's what this entails. Before cutting the road begins, we need to mobilize dump trucks and equipment, and personnel, and completion of the road closure and traffic control must be in place before we start breaking the road. Interactions are overlap with stream excavation of the east side, which can be done anytime during the project. For demolition, so no inspections, testings, or hold points. Limitations ensure excavators and dump trucks are staged before we break the road to avoid congestion in a cluster.
So activity E3 includes the main culvert excavation. This is once the pavement is removed and the road is closed, we'll start getting rid of the main culvert area to make sure that we can place that culvert in there. Our crews are as follows. You can see there. We'll have 2 crews of hydraulic excavators with a 3.5 cubic yard bucket. A smaller crew working inside the pit with a 0.75 cubic yard bucket on that excavator. And lastly, those last 6 crews that you see are 6 dump trucks, 3 on the north side, 3 on the south side, making sure that our excavators are being constantly used. So this is what that crew looks like. 3 operators for 3 excavators, 3 laborers to assist each excavator, making sure that, you know, we're reaching the right level. And lastly, 6 truck drivers for those dump trucks that I mentioned. Again, here are the excavators at the bottom, their cost per day, as its equipment, and the 6 dump trucks. Keep in mind that along with the other activities in earthwork, if you manage to fit them in the same day, you know, we're using the same equipment, the same dump trucks, the same excavators. So that is something to keep in mind, that you don't have to, you know, pay double the rate for these excavators. So the description of the work as it relates to the other activities. So the stream excavation east must have started by the time that, you know, the main excavation starts. This one starts before the road closure, so, you know, there's a little bit of lag there, but that's a start-to-start relationship. And then removing the existing road, that is a finish to start. We want to make sure that, you know, the road is out of the way before we begin our culvert excavation. Some interactions with this activity. So activity E1, stream excavation east. I mean, these both use the same machinery, but they're happening concurrently. Additionally, the stream excavation west is kind of ties into this activity. I would kind of, if you're doing it on the schedule, I would combine them. because it's just easiest to deal with, you're using the same equipment and it's happening concurrently. So I'll combine those two. And then lastly, storing the excess materials of the excavation is happening while this is also happening. Some inspection testing and hold points. So an important part of our scope is that the slope remains at a 1.5 to 1, not 2, ignore what the text says. And again, that surveying is done to ensure that we're getting the right grades, we're getting down to the right elevation. And we'll make sure that, both our crew and our machinery has the right equipment to reach that elevation. Some limitations and rules is that this work must be completed during the road closure. This is a must. Obviously, you can't open the road until, the culvert is installed and you pave the road on top of it. And then another one is that the larger excavators are staying on the road. They're not going down in there. This is just because it's harder, if you have to like keep moving the excavator up and down the slope. That might take a while and it's not very time efficient. Nor is it, something we want to be doing, constantly moving heavy machinery up and down a steep slope. But yeah.
Activity E4, store excess material. All excavated earthwork will be loaded into trucks and stored at either the north or south storage area, shown in the picture. Many dump trucks will be used for this crew. Not included is the excavator, but that's for the culvert excavation, which is in tandem with this one. Before this can begin, we must remove the road first. Things that'll happen simultaneously. Of course, the culvert excavation, that's where the excess material will come from, and stream excavation for the west side. Just haul on dirt, so no inspection, testing, or hold points. Limitations, not to overfill dump trucks, stick to 12 cubic yards per load to avoid track out and any possible issues with weight.
In conjunction with the culvert excavation, we will begin stream excavation on the west side. Circled is the west portion of the stream excavation. 2 3 cubic yard excavators are stationed on the roadway, but they'll be out of reach of the stream excavation, so a smaller 0.75 cubic yard excavator will be inside the culvert area to relay material out of reach. The smaller excavator inside the culvert transfers stream bed material up to the larger excavators for loading into dump trucks. 3 dump trucks will be positioned on either side of the roadway to transport material to both of our laydown yards. The work requires 2 crew B12D excavation crews for the large excavators, 1 crew B12F for the small relay excavator, and 6 crew B34B hauling crews for the dump trucks. The production of this activity is 850 cubic yards per hour, operating with 3 equipment operators, 1 laborer, and 6 truck drivers. Their hourly wages range from about $50 to $71 per hour before burden rates. On the equipment side, our 2 large hydraulic excavators cost around $2,200 per day, and the smaller 7.5 cubic yard excavator is about $900 per day. And each of the 6 12 cubic yard dump trucks run just over $1,000 per day. Stream excavation follows the removal of the existing road. This activity must be coordinated with the clearing and grubbing team to ensure access, and it overlaps with both culvert excavation and storing excess materials. Slope inspections are required to verify that we maintain at least a 1.5 horizontal to 1 vertical slope throughout the cut. We also perform material separation to stockpile the ESU1 soil, top 6.5 feet, for future stream bed restoration. After the culvert and wing walls are installed, we begin backfilling the excavation area. We will be using the same 2 3 cubic yard excavators to place and spread material inside the culvert area. Loaders will supply dump trucks at the north and south laydown areas, and the trucks will back up to the culvert edge to deliver the fill. Once dumped, excavators will spread fill evenly. Backfill will be placed in 8 to 12 inch lifts and compacted before the next lift begins. We're using 2 crew B12D excavation crews for equipment placement, 6 crew B34B haul crews for dump trucks, and 2 crew B10U loading crews for the laydown yard wheel loaders. This task partially overlaps with the disposal of excess materials depending on dump truck availability. The production of this activity is 405 cubic yards per hour, operating with 2 large excavators, 6 dump trucks, and 2 wheel loaders. Labor includes operators and truck drivers with wages ranging from $50 to $71 per hour, not including burden. Equipment costs per day include $2,200 for each large excavator, $1,300 for the loaders, and just over $1,000 per dump truck. Before each lift is placed, material will be checked to confirm that it's the correct type for the section being filled. Survey checks will also ensure elevation is within tolerance. No additional fill or paving prep can begin until compaction and grade pass inspection. Slopes will be kept at a minimum 1.5 horizontal to 1 vertical throughout.
Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa Blomquist, and I'm talking about activity E8, which is dispose of excess material. This task covers disposal of unused materials from both the north and south laydown areas sent to Pacific topsoils, which was chosen for proximity. The round trip is 17.6 miles. Each cycle takes about 2 minutes to load, 30 minutes to haul, and 1 minute to dump, so roughly 33 minutes per trip. Crew B12D is in charge of loading the trucks, while crew B34B handles the hauling. And this task will start as soon as dump trucks finish up from the other activities and become available. So here is the breakdown of the people and the equipment. We've got 6 truck drivers at about $59 an hour, an equipment operator at just over 70, and a laborer at 50. The dump trucks are 12 cubic yards each and just over 1,000 a day. And we also have 1 excavator for loading at about 2,200 per day, with 6 trucks cycling every 36 minutes. We are moving at about 1.99 cubic yards per minute to haul all 1,648 cubic yards. This will take about 13.7 hours total. And that covers both of the crews of loading and hauling. The 720 cubic yards per day is based on the RS means value for hauling. And this task can only start once we have completed storing excess material and backfilling. Those activities free up the trucks that we need. Once the laydown areas are stocked and trucks are ready, this task will begin. No inspections or hold points are expected. One rule is that we are not throwing away anything that we are going to reuse later in the project, and that includes the ESU1 dirt in the top 6.5 feet, which we will use for backfill. And that is everything that we have for today. Do not hesitate to reach out for any clarifications as needed, and thank you.